One of the principles I elucidate in my book, Everyone is an Entrepreneur, the kind of thing that you see all over Armenia, and I have to assume all post-Soviet countries that are still stuck in the communist mentalities, is everybody seems to want to be as much like everyone else as possible. It's kind of like a herd or flock mentality among prey animals. For example, we have ducks. And generally, unless the ducks are feeling exceptionally secure, which actually ours do now because we treat them very well and give them a very safe environment. But like when I first got ducks, you'll notice they never want to be alone. If they get separated from the other ducks, they will start yelling and kind of freaking out until they can be reunited as the ducks, because on a primordial level, they realize that they are vulnerable when they are alone.
Hmm.
Because if there's a predator, that predator is going to choose the easiest one to attack, and that's going to be the one that's separated from the group rather than trying to attack the whole group, right? And that's true among, I think, virtually all prey animals in the world. And people stuck in a communist mentality kind of, in a weird way, have the same way of thinking, which is I should do things exactly the same way everyone else is doing them, even if that way demonstrably does not work very well or at all, or is even counterproductive. It accomplishes the opposite of what it is supposed to do. And so you'll see that in the way that the people you hire to work on your house, they want to build things exactly the way they've been taught to build them, the exact same way that all the neighbors build them, right? Or how you arrange your garden, how you plant your fruit trees, how you do virtually every fucking little thing. And it's crazy. Like, it's one of those things that in the West you take for granted, not realizing is a certain heuristic or mentality you grew up with, where that not everyone shares. Like, you just assume everyone understands this because it seems obvious that actually the opposite is true. That the level of your value often derives from how different you are from other people in a specific way, how irreplaceable you are, the degree to which you can do something that other people cannot do, which either could mean doing a very common thing in a unique, special, particularly applicable and appropriate way, or doing something utterly different than what everyone else is doing. For example, one of my professions has been teaching English, which is not a very unique thing. There are plenty of English teachers in the world. However, I would argue that pretty much everyone who's had me as a student would say that the way I teach is completely different than every other teacher they've ever had. And for them, it works much, much, much better, thereby justifying a higher price that I can charge. And it makes it so that everyone, once they have worked with me, probably wouldn't want to go to any other teacher. They probably want to only keep working with me because they know they would not get the same kind of experience with 99% of other teachers. Obviously, there must be some other good teachers out there. I'm not the only one, but it's a combination of my background as a writer, as a speaker, as a thinker, right, that creates this unique, irreplaceable experience, what we might call the unique selling proposition. And so it's the same thing when I try to organize my workers here, some of whom are fairly consistent, like the neighbors that we hire here, but some of whom are constantly changing, like new people with new skill sets are constantly showing up here. And I have to find some way to manage them in a somewhat efficient and effective manner. And so that's one of my guiding principles. And I even inform them of that. Like, sometimes there are just generic tasks that need to be done, like move this stack of heavy things from point A to point B, dig a hole here, right? That anyone with functioning upper body strength can do. But often there are very highly specialized things that only particular people can do in a particular way. So when we're in that kind of situation, that's what I tell them. They say, well, what can I do today? What should I do today? Or I'm only going to be here 2 more weeks. Like, what should I spend that time doing? And I say, well, what can you do in a way that no one else here can do? That's what you should spend your time doing. Whatever makes you irreplaceable, right? And so, particularly because we're doing a lot of experimental types of construction and design, often it's the kind of thing that once one person has started working on it and kind of experimenting and figuring out the best way to plaster our clay walls or something, which isn't something anyone else in this village has done. I don't know if anyone else in this country has done it. That person has probably invested a lot of thought, energy, and time into figuring out the ideal mixture and ideal method for plastering them. So he couldn't just say, "Okay, I'm gonna go now. Someone else take over from me," because only he knows how to do certain things that he himself has arrived at doing, and maybe he could teach other people eventually. But like, if that's the case where that person essentially has become irreplaceable, no one else could easily step in and do the same work with the same degree of quality in the way he's doing it, right? And so if you embrace that as a whole lifestyle mentality, right, it's moving away from that prey herd mentality, to being bold enough to be like a peacock, showing off your feathers, your plumage, saying, "Look how unique and bright and colorful I am. Look how I'm doing something that no one else around you can do. So if you want this specific thing done in this specific way, I'm the person you have to come to." Become a monopoly of one person offering the specific thing that only you can offer.